What if I told you that a simple craving for a delicious meal could actually be the first step on a path to heaven? It sounds pretty unlikely, right? But it's right at the heart of this incredible ancient story about friendship, faith, and the surprising power of a single good deed. So let's get into it, the heavenly feast.
I know, it's a strange question. We're usually taught that spiritual rewards come from, really difficult, serious practices. But this story flips that on its head and asks something different. Can a simple, totally human desire, like just loving good food, be the very thing that sparks something divine? Well, let's find out.
Okay, so our story begins way back in ancient India, during the time of the Buddha. Just picture a super close-knit group of women. They're all devout followers of the Buddha's path, and in their circle they have a dear friend, a woman who follows the Brahmin tradition. Now, even with their different beliefs, their bond is totally solid.
So one afternoon, she comes across her friends all gathered together, and it's not just some casual hangout. You can tell they're sharing this moment of really deep, radiant joy. And, she can't help but notice she wasn't invited. You can imagine that little pang of feeling left out, right? So she goes up to them and just asks, "Hey, we're the best of friends. Why wasn't I invited to this happy gathering?" You can just feel her confusion. In her mind, a happy gathering is something they would always share. Her friends, of course, immediately put her at ease. They explain, "Oh no, this isn't a party. It's a sacred observance, a Buddhist holy day." They just assumed that since she followed her own tradition, it wouldn't be something she'd want to join. It was really just a simple misunderstanding, born out of respect for her beliefs.
And this, right here, is where the story takes such a wonderful turn. See, this woman had one great passion in life. She was a total foodie. She absolutely loved good food. So when she heard the word fast, she's thinking of the really strict, tough practices of her own tradition. But still, she was intrigued.
So she asks them about it, and the difference is just night and day. In her Brahmin tradition, a fast meant serious austerity. We're talking no food, no drink. It was a real test of willpower. But her friends described something totally different. A holy day where they got to enjoy delicious food and wonderful drinks as long as it was all done before noon.
You can just imagine the light bulb going off over her head. Wait a second. A spiritual practice that's not about deprivation, but about sharing a feast? A good deed that's also a total delight? For her, this changed everything. Without even thinking twice, she said, "I'm in."
And this is that moment. That simple decision, motivated by a love for good food, it's about to spiral into something truly extraordinary. What happened next? Honestly, nobody could have predicted. Now this part is so important. Whatever her initial reason was, she embraced the day completely. She didn't just go through the motions, she really participated with a sincere, joyful heart, sharing in the beauty of the whole thing right alongside her friends.
So, time goes on. Sometime later, after living a full life, her time on Earth came to a natural and peaceful end.
And that one single happy day of observance, that one good deed she did with her friends, well, it created a powerful karmic result that was just about to unfold. The result of that one good deed was frankly astonishing. She was reborn in a heavenly realm as a celestial being, surrounded by a peace and bliss that's pretty much unimaginable. And all of it stemmed from that one decision to share a joyful meal with her friends. So, in this new heavenly state, she was gifted with this profound new clarity. She could suddenly see all the intricate connections between her past actions and their present consequences, all those threads of cause and effect.
And with this new wisdom, she looked back and saw it with perfect clarity. Her beautiful new life wasn't random at all. It was the direct fruit of that one single day she spent observing the holy day with a completely joyful heart.
Just filled with this overwhelming sense of gratitude, she descended from her heavenly realm. She actually sought out the Buddha himself, just to thank him for the teachings that had led to so much happiness. And right there, in his presence, after hearing his wisdom, she took an even bigger step. She attained the first stage of enlightenment. As you can imagine, the Buddha's disciples were just amazed by the celestial visitor and her incredible story. So they turned to the Buddha and asked him to explain how such a simple act could possibly lead to such a profound reward. And the Buddha's explanation was just beautifully simple. He pointed to 3 key steps on her path. He said first, she saw the goodness in what her friends were doing. Second, she chose to join in on that goodness with a happy and sincere heart. And third, from that one joyful act, she reaped a powerful, wonderful result. Simple as that.
This story just leaves us with some really powerful ideas to think about. First, that a spiritual path, or dharma, isn't meant to be a constant struggle. It's a journey from happiness to even greater happiness. It also shows us that a good action leads to a good result, even if the reason you start is as simple as wanting to share a meal. And maybe most importantly, that true wisdom actually makes the path easier, not harder.
So, the heart of this story is really this beautiful, simple truth. We often think the best paths have to be the hardest ones. But this story reminds us that a single, joyful action, when you do it with sincerity, has a power that can echo far beyond anything we can possibly imagine.
And that leaves us with a final thought. It doesn't have to be some grand gesture. What is one small thing that you can do today with a truly joyful heart? Thanks so much for listening.